Ladies and gentlemen of Wrestling with Tragedy, my name is Kevin. Soon I'll be joined by Angel and Piers, and we'll get into the next episode of Wrestling with Tragedy. We wanted to put this slight disclaimer in the beginning of the video for all of our viewers. This video is going to be a little hard to talk about, and it's going to be about a subject that affects a lot of people in a lot of different ways. Today we'll be covering a topic of suicide. We want you to know here at Wrestling with Tragedy, we want you to know that you have all the resources available to you. If you, a family member, or somebody that you know is going through a hard time and needs to know where they can reach out to, for the duration of this episode, the suicide hotline will be scrolling continuously at the bottom for both Australia and America in the show's entirety. If you feel you are in a position where you need to reach out and ask for help, feel free to hit up any one of us on social media, and we'll be more than glad to talk to you and point you in the right direction of getting someone who can help you in the best possible way. With that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and roll our intro video. We're going to get right into this episode. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being viewers, and let's get the show started. What's going on, guys? We're back again with another episode of Wrestling with Tragedy. I'm joined by two of my best friends. One of my best friends and that guy.
Oh,
So,
point. When you do that, you got to point like one of right here. This guy, like tiny dude right here.
Well, I'm joined by this guy and one of my good friends down here.
Oh, cold-blooded, hard times.
Hard times, daddy, hard times.
Hillbilly heroin, love it.
We're still not letting that go from last week, are we?
Oh, I need the T-shirt. I'm telling you, the T-shirt has to be made. Hillbilly heroin.
So, guys,
God.
before we get started, I do want to take one quick second to plug our amazing sponsors who make this show happen every single week. First of which being Mayon Belts. Mayon Belts is the premier belt maker in the world today. If you are looking to start your belt collection or just add to it, make sure you hit up Eddie and Ira Williams on Facebook or go to the Mayon Belts page on Facebook, spelled exactly like it is on the bottom of the screen. There are a few other pages out there very similar, but the one you want to get is Mayon Belts. Eddie and Ira Williams have an amazing customer service and payment plan and can get anybody the belts they need. The three of us have belts on order with Mayon Belts, and they're the best belts in the world. We wouldn't promote them if we didn't believe in them. With that being said, guys, A-Rock Designs. A-Rock Designs is my wife's custom business where she makes all those cool wrestling cups you see floating around everywhere. She makes hats, hoodies, tumblers, keychains, anything you want. She can even monogram your dog. I don't recommend it, but let's see if Piers knows the end of this one. Everybody's got a
price, baby.
There
After
we go.
the 18th time, I guess, so he'll finally hit it.
Yeah, it's only been 12 weeks, but who's counting? But with that being said, guys, if you want to get your hands on any custom merchandise, make sure you hit up Ashley Rodriguez, myself, or anybody on the screen will point you in the right direction. With that
Can
being
I just give a special shout out to Cicadas? That entrance music is fucking badass.
I was
And
actually going to turn it over to you so you could do that because I didn't want to butcher the name.
He always oversteps his bounds. He always like chimes in when it's not the right time.
I mean, it's okay. I remember my first live stream. It's okay. Go ahead, Peter.
I think he's getting. I think he's getting a kickback from this. What is this? Cicada?
Cicadas, no, they're just a good friends of mine
Kickback.
that put out some amazing music. The Cicadas. The song is called Restriction. They're going to be releasing it soon.
I didn't even know we were monetized yet, but apparently we are. So
not yet, guys. But yeah, we'll put the link in the description. You can go check them out.
it's already there.
There you go. We'll get into the show, guys.
Guys, one other thing I wanted to say before we started, I forgot to mention this in the beginning. As I said, this is going to be a very touchy subject for a lot of people. Not only is the Australian Lifeline and the National Suicide Prevention Hotline scrolling across the bottom of the screen, you can find both those numbers posted in the description of this video. If you, a family member or a friend or anybody you know is going through any hard times, Please pass the information. Angel, stop it. With that said, Piers, how about you let us know what we're going to be talking about today?
So today, guys, what we're going to be discussing about is the recent passings of Shad Gaspard, Hana Kimura,
Right on.
and Danny Havoc. Hana Kimura was a 22-year-old female professional wrestler, reality TV star that took her own life. She was a victim of cyberbullying. She put her in a state of depression.
Piers, I'm not trying to cut you off. Do we want to address these one at a time, or do you want to run down all three and we talk about all three?
Let's do one at a time, and then we can give them the proper respect.
Absolutely.
That's what I was thinking.
The reason why this episode is coming out later after the fact that this has happened is due to respect for the family members of these people that have passed. And that's why we decided to do that. We are going to be
the ability to mourn properly.
Exactly. We do cover tragedies, we cover scandals in the world of professional wrestling, but we're not heartless animals. We want to talk about these three people that have passed, and we want to cover off their stories, and we want to cover off the information that we've found about them. As I said, Hana Kimura was a 22-year-old girl who was a professional wrestler, who loved wrestling, was on a reality TV show called Terrace House.
On Netflix, right?
I believe so.
It was on Netflix.
There was an episode of Terrace House where a house member put his clothes in the washing machine that had her wrestling gear in it from Wrestle Kingdom 14. He didn't know, took all the clothes out, put it in the dryer. Her custom gear got destroyed, and she sort of, had an altercation with this person. And then after that, she received countless amounts of cyberbullying, relentless amounts of cyberbullying, which ultimately led to her suicide. And the reason why I'm getting emotional about this, guys, is because it was a 22-year-old girl. It was someone who was just starting their life. And you don't know what someone's going through. You see someone who is a celebrity. You think that they are untouchable, unhurtable, undamageable, but they're still human beings. Think before you tweet. Think before you comment. Think before you say things to someone, because you don't know the lasting effects of that they can do to these people. And guys, I'm sorry I've gone on a little bit of a tangent about it, but it's just something I believe strongly about. As you know, I'm a big advocate for anti-bullying, as we all are.
Well,
and I'm a big advocate for people seeking help for mental illness and depression.
Absolutely.
I just want to say, Piers, I totally agree with you. I mean, your words hurt. It's like a knife. It's going to cut deep. I mean, again, I'm from a different era. I mean, the cyberbullying, yes, absolutely, that is totally uncalled for. It's just that from my time frame, I was physically bullied. So I mean, it's just I don't see it, because it's a different time, and I understand these people. The words cut. And I'm so sorry for what happened to her. And, my condolences go out to her family. It's just, I wish she would have reached out to somebody for help just to get over it. Cause it's just words. I mean, from my view, they're just words. Like I said, I've been physically bullied. I've been beat up, wedgied, all this stuff when I was in my youth.
Same.
So I just, it's hard for me to relate to it, because it's like, man, I wish, I'd rather be on the keyboard and get abused that way than physically abused. But still, it's a mental effect on yourself.
Sometimes they can be a lot harder and a lot harsher when it is coming from people that you don't know. These people they're throwing that judgment, and I don't want to. I'm not going to say what was going through her mind, because I don't know.
Yeah.
But all I can say is this was something that really hit home for me. And when I heard the news, I was just like, oh man, 22 fucking years old. Like,
yeah. Kevin, what you gonna say?
A combination of what the two of you said. The time I grew up in, I was used to being physically bullied. But I think now in this day and age with this cyberbullying, it's a lot more relentless. And think about it like this, guys. When you're bullied physically, that bully knows there is a chance where he might bite off a little bit more than he can chew, and he's going to get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
We see it all the time. But these keyboard warriors, these cyber bullies, they're never in the same room. Sometimes not even in the same state, if the same country. They don't have that fear. They can literally say whatever they want. And social media has really done wonders. And look at our show, for example. Angel, you're in Kansas, I'm in Georgia. Piers, you're in Australia, and we're still able to come together each and every week to provide content and to talk about things that
I
people
wish
want
we
to
were
know
in the
about.
same time zone. I give
Yeah.
besides that.
But that's one of the greatest things about the internet and social media. But one of the worst things about it is everybody's got a voice and everybody feels like it needs to be heard. Not saying that anybody's opinion is less important, but when it comes to things like this, just shut up. Just shut up. It's really sickening to see the level of disrespect, the level of bullying that the world has really come to. But just to pay as much respect to this young woman as possible, I just want to run down her accomplishments and her championship achievements and things like that. So she was for Dramatic Dream Team, she was the Iron Heavyweight Champion one time. For JWP, she was the Princess of Pro Wrestling Champion one time, the JWP Junior Champion one time, the JWP Junior Title Tournament 2016 winner, Princess of Pro Wrestling Tournament 2016 winner. Pro Wrestling Illustrated has ranked her as number 60 in their top 100 in 2018 and number 61 in their top 100 in 2019. She was the World Wonder Ring Stardom Artist Stardom Champion 2 times. She was the Goddess of Stardom Champion 1 time, and she received several 5-star matches.
All this at 22 years of age.
At 22 years old.
That is an awesome accomplishment at that very young age. You can't take that away from her.
Oh, she's also received, I apologize, she's also received for Stardom the Best Tag Team Award in 2016, or 2017, I apologize, and the Fighting Spirit Award for 2019. Keep this in mind, guys. She received the Fighting Spirit Award in 2019, and she later took her own life in 2020. If that doesn't show you the effect that cyberbullying has on even the toughest people, I don't know what will, guys. It's a shame that we even have to have this conversation.
Yeah.
It's a shame that we have to talk about this with somebody who is just entering the peak of their professional life, their personal life. And when you look at the championships, and I understand wrestling is just wrestling. There's a whole nother life outside of wrestling. But when somebody takes pride in their craft and they own their craft at such young age and they're able to accomplish the things that this young woman has accomplished, it's a real tragedy, no pun intended, to think that she felt her only way to escape this was to take her own life, and it's fucking sickening, guys.
And and you're absolutely right. Again, I cannot relate to the situation because, again, from my time frame of different, but it's hard. I mean, again, with today's society and today's media, people are ruthless with their words. Like I said, from my era, I mean, like I said, I was chased, I was beat up, I was shoved in lockers, even though I was fat. I don't know how I fit in there. My sneakers were stolen. I was slapped in front of my peers at school. I was beaten with wiffle ball bats when I used to come out of the shower in JV football. That's American football, Piers. I used to walk out and the varsity used to hit us in the back, with wiffle ball bats when we were wet. That shit hurts, when you're wet and you get hit with a wiffle ball bat. It's very painful. But so again, I feel sorry. It's just hard for me to relate because I just never experienced anything like cyberbullying and stuff like that. I mean, to me, I think I could kind of like blow it off, and doesn't invite anybody to send me some mean messages. I will find you. But it's just sad, man. I wish she was able to reach out to somebody, man, because she's had a lot to give in professional wrestling. She could have been, WWE. The possibilities are endless what her career would have ended up as,
Yeah.
Guys, and it's crazy to think out of the accomplishments I said she had in Stardom alone. Like I said, the Art of Stardom champion twice, the Goddess champion one time, the 5-star GP winner, best tag team, and Fighting Spirit award. I want to throw something out there, guys. After all of that, she signed with Stardom March 25th, 2019. She did all of that and she was only signed to Stardom for 1 year, not even a full calendar year.
That's talent.
It is, man. It's talent, and it just goes to show that she was over with that crowd. Obviously she would have been well liked by management and by her peers. No pun intended on my name, but peers.
Pierre.
She definitely had that star factor, and I was watching some of her matches, and her matches were just so eloquent. Like, they were just really well put together. The way she moved in the ring, it was she had so much talent, so much potential. And we talked about the cyberbullying that she went through, but also think about and as I said in last week's episode when we were covering off China about depression and mental illness, as I said earlier in this show, you see what people perceive you to see. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're whether you're a professional wrestler, an actor, a musician, a famous, any type of sportsman at all, you see these people, and especially in pro wrestling, these being these confident, larger than life people, these larger than life characters. But that's exactly what it is. They're characters. The person behind that character is a real human being with the same struggle, the same problems that a lot of other people in the world have. It just so happens to be that their job is a professional wrestler.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing I really want people to understand. Growing up, we all fell in love with pro wrestling for the same reason. There were these larger than life, superhero-esque type characters, and it gave us somebody to look up to. And Angel, you can speak to this better than anybody. Behind the gimmick, there's a real person.
Correct.
Behind what we are led to believe in pro wrestling isn't always the case. It's not always the same person, if at all. Just because they seem like they're invincible and they can take anything, and you see them take these chair shots and falling on barbed wire and all of this other stuff. I tend to agree with Angel on a lot of things, but this is one I think we'll disagree on. I do believe that, there are a lot of damage in words. The old saying goes, sticks and stones can break my bones and words can never hurt me. I think that is the farthest thing from the truth.
Yeah.
You have and like I said, you have these people who are trained to take chair shots and fall on barbed wire and eat glass and whatever the case may be. And you think that, oh, I could say whatever I want because they're tough enough to take it. That's not a fucking excuse. You should treat people the way you want to be treated and treat everyone with respect. Prime example. Angel was in the business for how long?
27 to 28 years.
Piers and I have never stepped in a pro wrestling ring. We've never been signed under a contract. We've never worked for a major promotion. When the idea of this show came about, he could have easily said, I'm going to go get some of my buddies that I ran the streets with, up and down the roads, toured with, guys from pro wrestling. Kevin and Piers are nobodies. He didn't do that. He's treated us like we were somebody since day one. He's treated us with respect since day one. Piers and I have not reached that celebrity status yet that Angel has, but that never stopped him from treating us with respect and like we were grown-ass men. We need to start treating people the way we want to be treated. And I know this is a lot different than the type of broadcast you normally see from us, but this topic is so sensitive, so serious, and needs every bit of attention that we're going to give to it. Normally, Angel and I are here cracking jokes, busting Pierce's balls. This isn't the time or the place for that. No. This is going to be a lot different than what you guys are used to seeing. We will return to our normal funny banter in the next episode. But, guys, we do not want to take away from the severity of this situation and we want to give it the absolute respect that it is due.
Absolutely. And like, trust me, I'm biting my tongue a lot because I'm always joking around, but absolutely, this is a serious matter that needs to be addressed on the forefront with no jokes, I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit, but just this is important for us to bring it up to the fans and to understand this is serious. You know, just because I don't understand it from my point of view, it's still important to address. And there's a lot of people out there that need help to overcome this cyberbullying. I mean, because nobody deserves that type of treatment. Right, Piers?
Absolutely. You know,
I had to wake them up.
No, I was listening intently. You know, we do like to have a lot of banter back and forth on these things and crack jokes at each other. That's not going to be the case in this episode. We are going to be covering off, like I said, going through this. But one of the things that I wanted to read out was a tweet that Hannah sent out.
Wasn't that also removed from the, like, as soon as that popped up, they took that off the whatever, Twitter or wherever she did it on social media?
I know the tweet you're talking about. This is a different one, but It says nearly 100 frank opinions every day. I couldn't deny that. I was hurt. I'm dead. You know, if you see a family member or you see it doesn't even need to be a family member. Like, you forget I even said that, but you see someone sending something out like that and you still think that it's okay to still throw more shade at someone, to still try and... It's not okay. And I'm telling you now, if anyone here has cyberbullied anyone, has thrown comments like that at anyone, you are not a wrestling fan, because wrestling is for everybody. We accept everybody in the world of professional wrestling. Doesn't matter what race, religion, sex you are. To send someone hateful messages, to drive someone to this, those people that did that should be tried for murder. And that's my belief, and I'm sure there's people that might disagree with me on that. But 22 years old, like, I'm sorry, man. Like, my head is just like I said, this happened, back on the 20th of May. You know, it's nearly pretty much 2 months ago. And to me, it still hits home to me. This young girl that was bullied to death at 22 years old.
You know, Piers,
how she act on a reality TV show, which, let's face it, reality TV show, how much of that is actually scripted? Was she playing a character on that reality TV show at times?
Piers, it's like you said, pro wrestling is for everybody. Everyone is accepted in pro wrestling. And if you don't believe that, shout out to the Knight family. The Knight's Wrestling School in Norwich. They have a blind kid wrestling for them. They have autistic kids wrestling there. They teach autistic and blind kids to wrestle. Anybody could have said, you know what, you're not cut out for it due to your physical limitations. It's never going to happen. They had a blind kid make their wrestling debut. Got a standing ovation. A father of an autistic child who never thought his son would be accepted got a standing ovation after his wrestling debut. Wrestling is for everyone. I've been to live wrestling events. I've been to live sport events. I've been to football games, basketball games. You name it, I've probably been to at least one of them. I have never been to a place more accepting than a wrestling fan crowd. When you're standing outside those gates ready to go in and everybody just talking, sharing stories, what they love about wrestling. Wrestling is for everyone. And if you don't think that is true, then maybe it's not wrestling. Maybe it's just you.
And Kevin, I have something to chime in on that. It's not wrestling related, but it was an event. When me and my daughter were doing judo together at a tournament, there was a blind kid. Well, he was in his 20s doing judo. And of course, and he was throwing people. And the rule is that they had to hold on. In judo, you grab in, but this one, when you're blind, you have to hold on. But the guy, you couldn't tell he was blind, because just because you have a disability doesn't mean you don't have talent. And
Ray Charles.
Ray Charles, he had talent, and he was throwing that guy around. Even though he lost, the guy, you couldn't tell he was blind the way he was throwing this dude around. So I commend that individual for that. So just because you have a disability or a restriction doesn't mean you don't have talent.
There are two other people we want to talk about in this broadcast. And if you guys aren't done talking about Hannah, please continue. I'd just like to say that, like Piers said, there's no room in this world for cyberbullying, bullying of any kind. And if you know a loved one, a friend, or somebody, or you see anything where somebody may need some help, like I said in the beginning, the Lifeline for Australia and the National Suicide Prevention Hotline for America are rolling at the bottom of the screen in this show's entirety. Feel free to pass that message along. And if you need anything, feel free to message one of us. We are more than happy to have that conversation with you, or at least point you in the direction of somebody who can and is more qualified to help you than us. Guys, I'm good on this topic. Please speak your piece. And then when you two are done, we'll move on to the next one.
I think you said everything that I want to say. I just want to say a little thing is just absolutely cyberbullying is wrong. And if you guys out there, fans, anyone need help, please reach out to people. Don't let these people take control of your life. I know they're just words, but you have a lot to offer in this world, and taking yourself out of it is just it's just horrible. Try to find help. Reach out to somebody. We can definitely help you. Piers?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with what both of you guys said. And I said this on the last episode. Never make a permanent decision or implement a permanent solution on a temporary problem. Everyone that's going through hard times will get through it. I will stand here right now and tell the world I have suffered from depression since I was a teenager. I have been there. I have been on the edge of that cliff. And I am so glad that I have been able to get through that, and so glad I didn't take that leap. I have a beautiful family now. I have beautiful children. And like I said, hard times, tough times are not forever. Please, if you are going through anything in this world that is bringing you down, making you low, contact these numbers in your respective countries, or reach out to us, even if it's just someone you need to talk to. We will listen, and we will try and point you in the right direction. But please, please, please never get to that state. I'm begging you. In that said, the next pointed topic in this conversation was Shad Gaspard, who was 39 years old.
Hey, before you go any further with Shad Gaspard, I want to say something about him. You know, I don't know the guy, but this guy, from my opinion, has been a hero and a person. Mm-hmm. I mean, 2 incidences, the handgun incident, the store, saving his son. I just want to say this individual has earned himself in the WWE Hall of Fame. He should be in the forefront as the Ultimate Warrior Award. So, I mean, this guy has went above and beyond. I just wanted to say that out front before we even talk about it, because this guy is a general. I
cannot agree more.
He's a general. And anyway, Piers, go back. I just wanted to say he deserves that spot in the WWE Hall of Fame, even though he hasn't been wrestling for stupid amount of years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Shad was caught in a riptide, as people were that were swimming at the beach in Venice, or Venice Beach, sorry. And when the lifeguards came to save Shad, his last words were, "Save my son first." And we're all fathers here, guys. Like we're all fathers. And until you're put in a situation like Shad was, Shad is the ultimate hero. That is like the most selfless act in the world. And, you know, when you're in a situation like that, when you're in a riptide, when you're in that sort of situation, you go into panic. You know, you don't know what's going on around you. But for him to have the wherewithal and the thought and the focus to make sure that his son was safe before himself is the ultimate show of what a hero is, what an amazing father is. You know,
it's parental instinct kicked in, you know. I mean, man. Save my son first, save my daughter first. I mean, I would do the same, you know. I mean, like, especially when you're drowning or you're in the riptide. I mean, you're in panic mode, you're survival mode. And that's the first thing that popped in his head is take care of my kid. Fuck me, I live my life, you know?
Yeah, dude, like it's, but he was only 39 years old as himself, like such a young age. And yes, it was an accident and it happened, but still such a young age. And for his last act on life, his last act on earth, sorry, for him to have his child saved, I've seen, the statements and the comments made by WWE superstars. And one of the ones that really, really resonated with me was what Biggie said from the New Day, where he said he would call his son as in SUN, because that was the ray of light in his life. And the sort of person he was, every single person was saying how Shad was the guy that was always like taking care of people, like making sure you're having a good time. And it's not just like a party event or something like that, but it was like backstage. He was just, hey man, you good? Like, yeah, all right, cool, man. He cared about people.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, I mean, like I said, I never knew the guy, but everybody that I spoke to always spoke highly of him. I mean, this is not even the first senseless act of heroism that he has done, especially saving people from that convenience store robbery where he beat the off that individual. This guy is just a hero. Everybody said he cared about it. He always made people laugh and smile. This guy was a shining light at every party. I don't want to say a pillar to the community, but just a great guy that everybody enjoyed to be around. I mean, this is a tragedy that nobody can benefit from hanging out with him because he's gone. Kevin?
First of all, I want to reiterate what both of you said. If by any chance the family of Shad Gaspard sees this, I want to say I'm sorry for your loss. I want to say that to his mother, you raised an amazing man. To his son, your father was a great, great man. And it's like you said, we're all fathers. Every one of us would give our lives for our children, but when that time actually comes, it's one thing to say it, it's another to do it. It's also another thing when you're in that heightened sense of awareness, when you're in a sense of panic, and you know that it's most likely going to happen. And for you to still say, take my son, that is the ultimate sacrifice for a parent, one that we would all make. Shad was in WWE for a very short period of time. But it's like Angel said, WWE did not define Shad's life. Shad defined Shad's life. And he chose to live his life in a way that was respectful, in a way to look out for people, in a way to protect people. And he truly cared about people. One of the last videos I saw of Shad was him and MVP watching WrestleMania when Kofi Kingston won the world title. He was so happy for his friends. He had tears in his eyes in a public place. A man that tall, that big, crying in a public place because he cared so much and believed so much in his friends that it meant that much to him. If there was one thing that I could say to him, and as most of you know, Piers and I, we do other shows where we interview pro wrestlers, and I reached out to Shad, as you did, Piers, before this happened, and selfishly, very, very selfishly, I wish I would have been able to speak to him before this happened, because I know not only would it have been a great interview, but as a father and as a man, he could have taught me so much. And I wish I'd have been able to have that conversation with him. But if there's one thing that I could say to you is thank you for being the type of person all of us hopes we are. We hope we are that good person. We hope we are that person that would step in and save somebody who is in trouble. But until we're put in that situation, we don't know if we are or if we're not. We like to think we are, but we don't know. We know Shad was that person. So Shad, thank you for being the type of person you are.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, when Crime Time first came out, I was a big fan. I was a massive fan of both him and JTG. They were like so entertaining, and I know the gimmick itself didn't get like.
Did you ever know what JTG stood for? Just too good.
Just that makes a lot of sense, but
just too good.
But the thing is, like, a lot of people and a lot of fans criticize it as being, stereotyping and everything like that. But they were given an opportunity. They were given these characters, and they succeeded in it, because when they came out, they were over. The crowd wasn't shitting on them. The crowd, I've never watched a WWE show that they were on. When they came out, people just went, there was no crickets. There was people cheering them on. Their stuff was entertaining, and they were captivating. And
money,
yeah. But
Piers, if you're gonna do it, at least get on the same beat. Jesus Christ.
But it still sticks to this day, that little saying. You know what I mean? So they did make an impact, and they did have an effect on the fans, especially with that catchphrase. Piers, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And one of the things I saw Natalia say, that they had a match where it was JTG, Shad, and Eve versus the modern day Hart Foundation. Harry Smith Jr., TJ, Tyson Kidd, and Natalia, and he said he made sure that I was involved in the match, that I was able to get some spots in because he cared that much about me. And TJ Wilson, he turned around and said, one of the things that Shad tweeted out was, obviously TJ, even with a broken neck, could get in there and run rings around 99.9% of the people on WWE television right now. And he was tearing up to think that that's how that man, that's how he really felt about me. And, you could see that it was genuine coming from him. And, and wrestlers said, a lot of other, really nice, caring stuff about the person that he was. But, I'd like to sort of celebrate the performer that he was here, and just say that there was so much left on the table for him when he turned heel on JTG. I wish they did so much more with that storyline. When he came out and cut that heel promo when he was in the suit, that guy was money. And money. But think about if they put a rocket on that guy's back, what he could have accomplished.
He had the look, he had the body, he had the charisma, and
he had the intimidation factor.
The size, yeah.
I gotta say this because I was one of those guys. Excuse me, I apologize. I did think that the Crime Time gimmick was very stereotypical. You can't deny that. But it speaks volumes to their talent to take something, and granted, when Primetime made their debut, we were not in this easily offended state that we're in now. People were more receptive to, more open-minded. Today, that storyline would never happen.
No.
Or that gimmick would never happen. But to take something that was a complete dumpster fire of an idea and put it on the backs of two people coming into WWE, and not only did they take it, they ran with it, they got it over. It's like you said, there's very few people I can think of that every time they came out, there was a pop. Even The Rock got booed at one point. Hogan was booed at one point. Cena's booed today. Taker was booed at one point. Crime Time, to my memory, I could be wrong, was always over. They really lived that stone cold mentality of, we're going to do whatever we want. Stop us if you want to. And up until Crime Time, Stone Cold was that last person that did that. Granted, Crime Time never put their hands on the boss, but they did whatever the hell they wanted. And it's so amazing that they were able to take that gimmick and get it over. kudos to JTG. And sir, if you see this by any chance, I also apologize to you, or not apologize, but you also have our condolences. We know he was your brother, he was your friend, he was your colleague, whatever you want to say. He was your family. So to you, sir, we give our condolences as well. But thank you for everything you guys did for pro wrestling, and JTG, which you are going to continue to do for pro wrestling.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually saw a clip when they came out and debuted at Game Changer Championship Wrestling, and Game Changer fans are hardcore fans. They're deathmatch fans. They're that bloodthirsty fans, and they came out in the middle of the ring and they got the pop of the night, and like the crowd were like, "Holy fuck!" It's Shad and JTG. They got the pop of the like. You could see the crowd in that audience were all like, "Whoa!" Like
during that time, there were two. During the time they debuted in WWE, there were two tag teams that I loved. As you guys know, I'm a huge Edge fan, but it wasn't Edge and Christian. It wasn't the Hardys. It wasn't Team 3D. It was Crime Time and the Highlanders. I loved them both.
Yeah. And you know what? They were both like, I don't want to say the word stereotypical, but they were in a way. You know what I mean?
They were.
You had the Scots, and you had like I said, Crime Time. They could have done a lot more with. I think, like just.
There was a lot of money left on the table with Crime Time.
Money.
Crime Time would have stolen
it, but I'm sorry, man. It's just catchy.
No, this is very different from the last topic we discussed. The last topic we discussed was very serious. There was a clear, direct message that needed to be had. There is a message here in the fact that we want to pay our respects to the life of Shad, but we want to celebrate the life of Shad. So this is going to be that funnier portion of the broadcast, because if you look at anything that man done, he was always wanting to have a good time. Whether he was making the jokes or he was the butt of the jokes, as long as people were laughing and having fun, that's what that man enjoyed. So this is most definitely going to be the funnier, more lighthearted portion of the episode. And when you think of Crime Time and you think of Shad, you can't help but smile.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, even when I was watching some Crime Time, vignettes and promos before, when we knew we were going to be covering off Shad, I was watching stuff on my phone when, obviously I got young kids, they're running around, and my wife, they were watching stuff, and my wife looked at me, she goes, "Why are you staring at your phone smiling?" And I was like, Crime Time.
I was so ready. I was when John Cena was feuding with JBL for his first WWE championship. Do you guys remember Crime Time getting involved in that?
Yeah, vaguely. Yeah.
I wanted so much for the Doctor of Thugonomics and Crime Time to just I was the WWE champion, give them, at the time it was these tag titles.
Yeah.
And I was so behind Crime Time and what they were doing, and watching them destroy the limousine of JBL was the best vandalism I've ever seen. It was great.
And they looked like they were
actively committing crimes, and we did not give a shit.
But they looked like they were having so much fun with it, and that's the thing. Like everything that Shad was doing, when he come to the ring, you see that big infectious smile that he had, and
like
you know what I mean. Exactly like you, brother. But just
Angel's more makes me want to have a bowel movement.
Oh, hold on. Maybe get this done on TV.
But yeah, like just that big infectious smile that he had, you knew he was loving every second of what he was doing. And like I said, that heel promo that he did when he turned on JTG, man, like I still get frustrated because there was so much they could have done with it.
There has never been, aside from the Shield, there has never been a more heart-wrenching tag team turn. I mean, you look at Cass and Enzo, we all saw it coming.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Shield, who was on top of the world And then Seth Rollins did what he did. It was great because no one saw it coming. And I put Crime Time right up there with them. They were on fire. They were red hot. They were to paraphrase Titus O'Neil, they were making moves, $1 million moves. And it was great and it was entertaining. And then that turn came. And I was so invested to see what they were going to do from there. And it's like you had the build up and they just failed to give you the payoff. And it wasn't anything on Crime Time, Shad, or JTG, but WWE just didn't give you that payday with it. And that payday, there was, and this one's for Angel, there was a lot of money left on the table.
Money. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of money, man. But again, but the thing I'm just saying is just that I just pray. I mean, and fans out there, please send your, send emails to WWE. Send, because you are the people that can make this happen. I think he should
needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he needs to be inducted, and we're calling it right here.
You can take, and I understand the WWE Hall of Fame is meant for wrestling, but if Shad Gaspard only wrestled one match for WWE, if he was only signed for 1 hour to have one match and a meal and catering, and that's all he ever got, he still belongs in the Hall of Fame because he ultimately gave his life to protect others. He could have died that day in the convenience store. He didn't care. He knew there was somebody in trouble. They needed help, and he did it. We idolize these wrestlers because they embody what we think a superhero is. To the family of Shad, to JTG, and to Shad himself, Shad didn't embody a superhero. He was a superhero.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Kevin. Before we get on to the next part of the show, it's Shad was the ultimate father. He was the ultimate hero. He sacrificed himself for his son. He is the embodiment of what a superhero is. Angel?
Man, I mean, like I said, my words, I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean, he's not even, you have the immortal Hulk Hogan, the icon Sting. I mean, and they earned their spot because of what they've done in the ring. But this Shad just skyrocketed way past them for what he has accomplished in life in this short time on this earth. And that's why I keep saying the man needs to be commended. And I know it's not about awards. It's not about giving him money or helping his family out, which that's great. But we have to show, that we care about these wrestlers outside the ring instead of what they have done inside the ring. And he has excelled to triple crown status, quadruple crown status and he needs to be addressed and be respected. And a standing ovation should be done for him at the world's biggest stage.
It was very nice to see them recognize him with the 10-bell salute. I will give WWE credit for that. There was a lot of speculation of, are they going to do it? Are they not going to do it? But they did, and they also did one for Hana as well. So I thought that was absolutely amazing for them.
But for me, I think they need to give a little bit more, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just want to take a second to thank them for what they have done, but there's still work left to do because this man deserves it.
Absolutely.
And
he needs both.
The Hall of Fame ring should be accepted by his son.
Yeah, absolutely. And he should get the Ultimate Warrior. I forgot what's it called. The Ultimate Warrior. What is it?
It's the Ultimate Warrior Award.
Oh, I thought it had a little more to it. I'm sorry. But that's even because that's another award that he should get. Be the first wrestler to ever get both for what he has done.
And he more than deserves it.
And he deserves it.
So before we switch to the next topic, our final topic of the day, I just want to say thank you to Shad, his family, anybody who had any part in raising such an amazing man. Thank you for raising someone who really showed us what it truly means to be a father and what it truly means to be a good man. So thank you to his family, and you have our most deepest condolences.
Absolutely.
That's all I got on this topic. If you guys are good, we'll move on.
Yeah.
Piers,
I'm good.
you want to let us know where we're going next?
So the next topic of conversation we're going to be talking about is Danny Havoc. So those of you who don't know who Danny Havoc is, he is a deathmatch legend. He is a professional wrestler.
Does he deliver pizza?
No, unfortunately not. Yeah.
Because I could use the pizza.
Yeah, no.
You know what's funny? I never heard of the guy, and I'm sorry. A lot of these deathmatch guys, the only person I knew was Man Pondo, and that's because he was in the time frame when I was wrestling.
Sure. So Danny Havoc was a young guy, 34 years old when he passed. He, I don't know what the cause of death is. People haven't been, the people closest to him know what it is, and out of respect, in life, you don't go and ask those sort of questions. You don't go and ask people that you don't know about when they're mourning someone that they were very close to. And even if we did know, and if they wanted people to know, people would know. And even if we did know, we wouldn't be the ones to be sharing that with the world.
It's not our story to tell.
Yeah.
And I just want to say this: like, if you go back and you have a look at Danny Havoc, when you hear him speak, he was a guy that was so intelligent, so well together. He wasn't just a professional wrestler. He was someone who could design. He created Mox's AEW shirt when he joined AEW, the first Mox shirt. He's a guy that, yes, he did all these crazy intense deathmatch wrestling matches, and he put his body through so much for the fans. And in a documentary I saw, he basically sat back. He was with his cousin, and he was watching a Combat Zone wrestling show called Uneffin' Believable. And he saw a man on that show called Jun Kasai, who's known as the Crazy Monkey. And that's what Jun Kasai means in translation into English. And he was like, this is something that is happening not in Japan, in the country that I live in. I need to get involved in this. I want to be a part of this. And he made his debut in Combat Zone Wrestling at the age of 18 years of age. He went there and he proved himself in a company which, back then, and, even to somewhat to the point of today, was one of those places. It wasn't easy just to get over, much like how ECW was. Combat Zone Wrestling, you really had to prove yourself to the audience, and he definitely did that. Sorry, Kevin.
Think about where CZW is. Piers, where's the home base of CZW?
Philly.
What?
No, not anymore. I think it's Jersey. I think.
Yeah. Is it Jersey?
Yeah,
I thought it was still in Philly. I'll look it up.
At the time he entered, it was Philly. Correct?
Yeah.
I think it was around Philly, Jersey.
Yeah, but around that area.
Yeah.
What other promotion do we know was huge in Philly?
EC Dub.
Some of the most honest, brutal fans in the world of pro wrestling. Even for WWE, every pro wrestler will tell you, you better have your shit together when you go to Philly. You don't mess with that crowd. You don't come at them with some nonsense. Go back to the John Cena RVD match. And I know that's there's so much more history, but in one of the most recent ones that, our viewers will most likely remember, you have John Cena, the world's champion, coming to the ring, defending the title. A ring-used shirt that he takes off and throws into the crowd that you could easily get $200 for on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
They said, fuck that, keep your money, and kept throwing the shirt back in.
I remember, yeah.
They were signs, if Cena wins, we riot. Now, why do I bring that up when we're not talking about Cena? This is why. because I'm bringing up the crowd. I'm bringing up the crowd that this man walked into with no name, no experience, just walked in there and got over
Stole
with
their
that
hearts.
crowd. That crowd. He got over. And Angel, please correct me if I'm wrong. You've wrestled all over the world. One of the hardest places to get over. One
It's
of the
Philly.
hardest places to sell yourself. One of the hardest places to be accepted is Philly.
Yeah.
And this man did it. If he never won a world title, that's the equivalent.
Paul used to always. The scary part about Philadelphia is that if you couldn't get over in Philadelphia, Paul would you. It was kind of like a badge of honor, and if you didn't go over and the pants shit on you, it kind of hindered your push, kind of sort of. I think that was the fact. Like if you can't get over in Philadelphia, then they'll kind of hold you back.
Getting over in Philly is like getting a promo over with Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes is the promo guy. And if you can get him to love one of your promos, you can get anybody to love a promo. If you can get the fans in Philly to love you, you can get anyone to love you.
Yeah.
And Havoc was able
FYI,
to do that, man.
I just looked at it. It's been always based out of Jersey. So they did their thing in Philly, but CCW is based out of Jersey.
Yeah. And you know what? The thing is about Danny Havoc, and, people have this conception of deathmatch wrestling, and you guys know me quite well. We speak almost every single day. I've always been someone who can appreciate deathmatch wrestling. I was a big fan of it when I was younger. Even still now, I'm a big fan of it. But deathmatch wrestling, there's a way to do it right and there's a way to do it wrong. There's the hack and slash where you see the guy walk around gigging himself like this, but Danny Havoc.
How do you do it? Can you show me how you do it?
I don't know. Like, I've seen some pretty bad deathmatch wrestling shows where people are just walking around. I don't know. I've never gigged, but I've seen some pretty bad shit in some really low performing.
Yeah, there's a couple up there.
Yeah, low performing deathmatch shows, but Danny Havoc was able to incorporate technical wrestling. He was able to use technical wrestling while using those ultra violent gimmicks and those ultra violent weapons, and made that mean something. Not just getting a light tube and smashing it over the guy's head and the guy smashing over his head. The tease of it, the tease of going into the barbed wire, the tease of going through the panes of glass. He was able to, those little nuances, those tiny little nuances, to make people care, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, to build it up.
I think you hit it right on the head, man. When it comes to deathmatch wrestling, and I used to be one of those guys, and then I became friends with Piers, and he really started breaking it down for me. But I used to look at deathmatch wrestlers as guys who didn't know how to wrestle, and they had to use all these foreign objects and these light tubes and this barbed wire and these chairs to make up for what they didn't know how to do. And with Danny Havoc, that was not the case. He had ring psychology. He had the art of working the crowd. He had technical wrestling. And more times than not, these deathmatch wrestlers have that stuff. It's just they understand that the crowd wants blood, and they're going to give them blood.
But it's teasing.
They're working the gimmick. Yeah, absolutely. They're working the crowd just like any other gimmick. But kudos to Piers, because like I said, before me and him became friends, I looked at it as such. Guys who don't know how to do anything else. I think there was a guy like what was his name? Angel Medina, who really couldn't wrestle. He just did dumb shit and got it over. Man
Pando that delivers pizza on the weekends, 50 minutes or less.
But kudos to Danny Havoc, man, for being able to not only own deathmatch wrestling, but go beyond that and learn the other tricks to the trade. So that's something that I don't think a lot of people know about him, is how ring smart he really was. So if there's one thing that I can get over in this broadcast, is he wasn't just a deathmatch guy. That's what he loved. That's what he was good at. That's what he really enjoyed doing. But he was so much more than just your typical deathmatch guy.
And that's the thing. Danny Havoc should have had a run with that CZW title. He was there for a long time. He was the guy that was over with the crowd. The fans loved him. He should have gotten a run at that CZW title. You mentioned deathmatch wrestling, and there's a a small group of guys that do it really, really well. And I could rattle off the names like Matt Tremont's, the Jimmy Lloyds, the Ricky Shane Pages, the Nick Gages, the Danny Havocs, the Alex Colognes, John Moxley, and even, if we're going back, Drake Younger,
Sammy Callahan.
Exactly my point.
Probably the best in current day, Sammy Callahan.
Yeah. And one of the things that I saw, like I seen the Vice documentary on, it's called Deathmatch Wrestler. And in that you see how Danny speaks and how he speaks, like he spoke so well. Like he didn't just sound like some sort of like buffhead that was like, I do, Matt. No, he was able to break things down. What he would do, he would design the weapons and then structurally have them around the ring. Like he would draw up blueprints of, say, okay, this is the wrestling ring. Over here, we're going to have 2 panes of glass with light tubes here. Then we're going to have a scaffold here. This side of the ring ropes will be taken down. We'll put barbed wire here. He thought about it. He structured it. He had a vision for his matches on what he wanted to do. He had a vision of how he wanted those matches to go. And that's the thing. He wasn't just a hack and slash wrestler.
He was very meticulous when it came to the details.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, he knew what he wanted and how he wanted it to be done. And that's what made him, and that's what made him essentially,
what was that, Angel?
But that's what made him so over with the crowd, and also how he won so many fans.
Just breaking the monotony, man. I'm just breaking the monotony.
Nah, man, that's all good. But
you know what? I was never. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was never a fan of these hardcore matches with the syringes going through people's mouth. Syringes.
Yeah, that's hard to see. That's hard to see.
The weed whacker to the back, the scissors, the sharpened scissors to the forehead, and I remember seeing fucking Necro Butcher's fucking back arm cut open and shows that meat. And literally not to the bone, but it was deep. And I'm like, and I was cringing, like, because me, it's all about, I'm not gonna lie, I keep it 100. It's me. I always justify my matches with like, okay, I am getting paid. Let's push forward. But and again, I don't know how much they were getting paid, but I really have to get paid to even attempt half the stuff that they did, taking power bombs off the top of a building through tubes of fluorescent light bulbs from a high, like whatever stories they were up. I have to suck it up. You know what I mean? Man,
Danny Havoc, he retired in 2017 due to spinal injuries, due to his body, because because of the insane bumps that he took. But in the documentary that I saw, he even said, he goes, for me to perform at the level that is the standard for me, like I need to walk away now. I don't want to stick around here too long, where my legacy is left of, I can't do that. I can't give the fans what they pay their hard-earned money.
He didn't want to become a parody of himself.
But the problem is, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, and all you have is your legacy, but nothing. And again, I'm not knocking it. It's just I want to see the end result of like, okay, it was worth it. Just because I have this legacy but I can't feed myself, that's my scary part. I want to walk away on my own accord and be able to continue to be walking without the assistance of any crutches or any type of medical device to keep me moving, and then say, what the saddest thing is, one of my heroes was Dynamite Kid, right? And then when I saw videos of him broken and I'm not making fun of him, it just broke my heart, because he's a legend. He should be relishing in beautiful women and fast cars and living the high life, and he was in this assisted living facility with his ankle all with these wires in it, and you're like, at the end of the day, all he had was videos of him wrestling. But then when you turn back the camera facing him, he's just all decrepit and in an assisted living facility with not a penny to his name. I don't know how much he had, but it looked like he didn't have much. And that was my fear. I want to leave with something. You know what I mean? To leave a legacy for my kid, So I don't know. That's just my thought. If I'm going to get crippled, I need to make sure that I'm covered at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Piers.
Yeah, and one of the things I wanted to cover off is, Danny passed away on the 31st of May, 2020. 34 years old. A few weeks prior to that, on April 14th, his wife passed away at the age of 27. They left behind 4 children. That's hard. That's a hard thing, man. And look, I never met Danny. I didn't know him personally. I was a fan of his from the moment that I saw him come out when he was 18 years old. You know what? Like I said, when you're a fan of someone for that many amount of years, you feel some kind of connection to that person. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Even though you may not have had a conversation with them, may not have met them. Kevin, we interview wrestlers every week on our other respective shows, and Danny Havoc was one guy that I was desperately wanting to get, because I just wanted an opportunity to sit down and talk to Danny Havoc, one of the guys that I really, really enjoyed watching over the years, and someone I was a massive fan for.
Absolutely. And, it's like you said, they both lost their life very close to each other, and they left behind their children. I couldn't imagine. I can't even begin to imagine how they feel. And much like I said with the other ones, if by any chance the children of Havoc see this, we are truly sorry for your loss.
Absolutely.
And we pray. It's like Piers said in the beginning, this is about 2 months old, but we really wanted to pay our respects to the family and give them their chance to mourn before we just seem like every other podcast, jumping on what's hot, getting out here and talking about things before we know the actual facts, and not really giving them the justice, respect, and peace that they deserve.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to approach this as respectful as possible.
Yeah, and I definitely think we've done that today, guys. I definitely think we covered off and we showed respect to the three
amazing people who gave so much to pro wrestling, gave so much to life in general. But this is a pro wrestling podcast, so just sticking with the topic of pro wrestling. One who had accomplished so much in such a short period of time at the age of 22. One who took a dumpster fire of a gimmick, got it over, and never got booed, even with the toughest crowds. And a man who walked into Philadelphia at the age of 18 and won over possibly the toughest crowd. Those are 3 things that I challenge you to find somewhere else in pro wrestling outside of these 3 individuals. And you're going to have to wake up pretty early, because it's going to be a pretty tough day for you to find that 3 people aside from these ones who have accomplished that kind of stuff. And I just want to take a chance to thank each one of them for their contributions to pro wrestling and for making me a fan.
Yeah.
In closing for me, I just want to say, hey, this is nothing against him. I'm not savvy on the wrestling deathmatch genre. I mean, it's just not my forte, even though I was in matches. But hey, he was a hell of a talent. I've seen a couple of his matches, and you're right, the psychology was there. My condolences to his children. And again, words cannot describe how I feel about what Shad has done for wrestling, for being a great citizen outside the wrestling ring, and also being an actor. He never stopped pushing forward. I always tell people push forward, and and it's just awesome that he has accomplished so much in such a short time. And all 3 of them, they it's just sad that they're no longer here, because you never knew what they could have accomplished if they were still around.
Absolutely.
It could have been endless. And Piers?
Yeah, look, in closing, I just want to say to you guys, this was probably one of the hardest ones that we've had to cover so far for all of us. From Hana Kimura, the 22-year-old Japanese wrestling sensation who hit the world by storm. Taking the bullying and thinking that was her way out.
For her to feel that was her only, and I'm so sorry to cut you off here, but for her to think that was her only way out, it wasn't just a drop. The people who did this to her weren't the only ones at fault, but for her to think this was her only avenue, it's everyone's fault, because the people around her should have known, or should not say should have known, because people are really good at hiding this kind of stuff. But as a society, we need to make it more preeminent that these things are out there. Piers, I'm so sorry for cutting you off, but I'm so passionate about this.
No,
we as a society need to let people know there are systems in place to help them.
Yeah, no, and that's okay, Kevin. We're all passionate about this, and cyberbullying, any type of bullying, is not acceptable, and it won't be tolerated. If you're a person who types things on the internet and likes to go and bully other people in any way at all, you know what? We ain't the show for you, because we don't promote it. We're anti-bullying. And, if anyone has gone through and had suicidal thoughts or felt in any way that they are alone in this world, I promise you, take it from someone who has been there. I promise you, you are not alone. You will get through it. Make those phone calls, contact someone, speak to someone, whether it's your best friend, whether it's your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, your boy, whatever it is, reach out to someone, because there is someone, there will always be someone there to help you. There will always be someone there to help you. Shad Gaspard, someone who 39 years old, that lost his life, that was able to, his last act on this world was saving his 10-year-old son. Show me a better meaning of the word hero. Show me a better meaning of the word. And Danny Havoc, a deathmatch icon, a guy that was just amazing in and out of the ring, who was so well spoken, so well educated, so intelligent. To be taken from us at such a young age is just, I'm lost for words on all three guys. And I think there's not much more I can say that you guys haven't already said.
I could say better than hero. I'd say immortal. I could use that for him. He'll always be immortal.
Shad, yeah.
His legacy will live forever. The things he did, the stories about him will absolutely live forever. Guys, in closing, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, yeah, you're right. Oh, we're past our mark. We were on a roll.
In closing, guys, I just want to reiterate what we said at the beginning. From everybody here at Wrestling with Tragedy, we want you to know that there are systems in place to help you for whatever you need, whether it be a friend, family member, loved one, or somebody that you think may need that extra help. Here at the bottom of the screen, we've stopped it from scrolling so you can have the chance to see it and take it down, save it in your phone. You never know when you're going to need information like this. The Lifeline of Australia and the National Suicide Prevention Hotline for America are posted at the bottom of the screen. If you or anybody you know need that kind of help, please feel free to reach out. Call these numbers. You can find all three of us on all forms of social media, Wrestling with Tragedy on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Send a message. Let us know you need to talk. We'll talk to you. We'll point you in the right direction of somebody more qualified than us. But if you just want someone to vent to, like I said, the other day, Piers called me, said, Kevin, I need to get some stuff off my chest. Has nothing to do with you, but I got to get it out. And he screamed at me for about 10 minutes, had nothing to do with me. But you have people there that will do that for you. And if you don't have somebody, you have three people right here staring at you back from the screen. So with that said, guys, thank you for watching this. We know it was a hard episode to listen to, but these are three people who definitely deserve that respect. With that said, we'll be back next week with another episode, more lighthearted, more fun. But we definitely wanted to approach this one as careful and respectful as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And Piers, curiosity, every time you step off the curb, ain't it committing suicide? Since you're small. And in that note,
you're a dick.
Thank you.